Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of
Cause you don't know football.
Look who I found over here now. We finished up this week. We wrapped all that up, but now we gotta get on here and we gotta touch up some things that we had talked about earlier in the year.
Week 14, we're ready for the end of the season press. Things are about to get a little crazy.
I'm
Is this
not.
considered like the witching hour of the NFL that
It's definitely
NFL Red Zone talks about every week?
that midnight hours. So, man, but I am excited about the playoffs. Always sadder as we get closer to it, but yeah, man. But speaking of playoffs, Timmy, we talked about some playoff predictions from before.
Yeah, we conference. Let's go. We'll go through. Let me run through our division and champions that we had from earlier in the week after the first quarter of the season.
Right. So what we about to do right now, just letting everybody know, we're about to give our final playoff prediction.
Yeah.
We're very excited about this, and I'm really excited to hear how well I did.
So look, this is over 10 weeks ago. So we went after the first quarter of the season, first 4 weeks of the season. Things were young. I think I said that 17 times in that episode too. So we'll go through the AFC first. So out of the AFC East, we were both in line with Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
The North, we did have some differences. I have the Ravens, you have the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just going to skip the AFC South because that was just ridiculous. But AFC West, we were also in line at Kansas City. The AFC South, I think we both should just jump out my window right now. But the Jags, we both had the Jaguars coming out of the AFC South, which is pretty horrendous. But
it ain't always perfect.
we are not perfect. Yeah.
Jags was shitting at the time.
I got to go back to the record, but I think they just looked a little bit better than we're a little bit high on them at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And then our wild cards in the AFC, I had the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Chargers. You're going to hate yourself for this one as well. Well, the last one, but you got the Ravens, the Dolphins, both fine picks. You were really hanging on to those Colts.
Yeah, I tried. I really tried to hang on to my boys and just rock out real quick. But yeah,
early in the season, now you're looking at that 4-8-1 record and just so
yeah, it's just I mean, we still got a chance. We ain't technically eliminated, but
technically not. Yes, that is one way to look at it. Right? Only eliminated team I see in the AFC is the Houston Texans. So yeah, good for you. You're not quite there. All right, so let's rock the NFC real quick here. So interesting, we had quite a bit of parity here, or quite a bit of differences here. I'm going to shoot myself for one of these, but the NFC South, we both had Tampa Bay. Then everything else we had different. The East, I'm still, rocking with my Cowboys. You had the Eagles. Both seem pretty good picks. You got the Vikings. I think you just locked that one up already. I give up on my Green Bay pick. It's just so much for them turning it around.
Yeah. I didn't want to throw salt in the wound.
That got worse and worse. Let's also go. You've not locked this one up, but in the West, you have San Francisco, and I will also jump off the bridge with the Rams. They have been horrendous. Hey, they did win last night.
They think last night.
They got Baker in.
Baker.
How interesting. I think the game the show is over for them, but it's still interesting. So our wild cards, though, I had the Eagles, the Vikings, and San Francisco. And then you have the Rams, the Saints, and Green Bay. You may need a whole new wild card pitcher.
Ooh, that was bad. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. All right, cool.
Wild card pitchers. So brutal. I mean, I think the main teams were the main teams, and we kind of hit it on there. Some of the secondary teams just were all over the place. But you want to start back in the AFC? We can do.
Okay. All right, cool. So at this point, I want to go number one seed. I want to be bold with this. Okay, so who is the number one seed in the AFC going to be?
Let me give me a second here. I mean, it's Buffalo or it's Kansas City. That's my prediction. Let me just quickly look here. Kansas City. I think Kansas City comes out. I literally just quickly looked at the schedules, And the schedule is moving out for Kansas City. They have Denver, Houston, Seattle, Denver, Las Vegas. Like the one team that might be okay in there is Seattle, giving
Right.
them a
That was exactly what I was going to say. I don't think they're going to lose the rest of
and
the year.
Buffalo has the Jets, Dolphins, Chicago, the Bengals, and New England. Like they're going to play some tough games.
Yeah.
Just in general. So number one coming out of that conference, the Chiefs have got to get the first seed out of there. If they don't, something crazy went wrong, or maybe like the Bengals get crazy and take off and win out or something. But so okay. I think we both on the Chiefs there, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Let me just hold on. Let me do this. Let me write this down so we don't forget it. So number one seed, Chiefs coming out of the AFC West. Oh, all right.
All right, cool. So I'll give you my number 2 seed. You were just talking about Buffalo and that schedule. That schedule's pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm picking Cincinnati to be the number 2 seed. Cincinnati, they play the Bucks this weekend. No, excuse me. They play the Browns this weekend. And this is a game where the Browns have had the Bengals number. If they I don't think Joe Burrow has beaten the Browns, and I think they're looking for an opportunity to prove that wrong. So then they got the Browns. So they got the Browns, and they got the Bucks, and the Bucks once again are not looking great. Then they got the Patriots. Patriots are not looking great. Then they got the Bills, and then they have the Ravens. But if you remember earlier in the year, the Ravens beat them, and I'm not picking the Ravens to sweep the Bengals. So I think when I look at the road, I actually think that the Bills have more losses in them than the Bengals.
The actual
schedule. I'm going Browns. I'm going Bengals number 2 seed.
That's that. A few points I wanted to touch on there. So I think I do think division wise, I think the Bengals end up eclipsing the Ravens and taking the North in general. I'm not certain they're going to be in the number 2 seed just yet. I'm looking here. I'm going between them and the Bills for me. But two things. One, Lamar's out. Like, we're not out, but he's dealing with the injury right now, right? Like, I got to actually look at his status, but either way, he's, didn't finish last week's game. He's dealing with a knee injury, right? Like, he's going to try to ball out, but it's just dealing with injuries and his type of style. You just don't know how it's going to be. And maybe he shuts it down and goes, you know what, pay me my money before I get hurt, right? Like, I don't think he will. Him clearly winning.
What's up? I see what you're doing there.
Him winning, gets him paid, but at the same time, he's getting paid one way or the other. He may just say like, this was a scare, and then two, I don't know that it's going to happen, but this week, the Bengals are playing the Browns in Cleveland. Do you know Joe Burrow's record against the Browns?
Yeah, I just said it's for he's 0-4.
Oh yeah, I missed it. 0-4 against the Browns. I mean, I sorry, I missed that, but yeah, I mean, I think he wins the game. I don't think the Browns beat him, but it's just one of those things like that would be, tone setter for the rest of the year. So you got Cincy coming out of the North. I got Cincy coming out of the North, but just as I kind of go through this and looking at it, my number 2 seed is going to be the Bills.
Okay.
I'm going to go Cincy with number 3.
Okay. And Bills for me is going to be number 3. So we can. Well, the only thing that scares me about the Bills going forward is the fact that Von Miller's out for the year. That scares me.
I agree with you there. He's a big piece on that defense. Now, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily a huge test, but last week we both had picked the Patriots that give them a little bit more hell than they did, and they did not. So it's one of those maybe the Bills. I mean, look, the Bills have won 3 straight, putting up over 24, 28, and then 31. Not playing insanely great teams, but you know, momentum is a big thing in this league too. But I agree, they have a tough schedule coming out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
to face.
I mean, we'll figure that out. We'll see that. Actually, to me, I was just looking at the number 4 seed. We should have just thrown that in there too. I mean, the Titans are going to win that division unless you just see a rebound from our Colts. You know what I'm saying? And we just come spiraling back. You know, I think the Titans are going to win that division. So
for sure. I was going to get there as well. I think I do agree with you though. That's just not. It's not even debate. They're just going to be
nothing to talk about there.
Like unless something crazy happens with those 3 teams we just talked about, and the Titans can, have an insane record moving out. I just don't see it happening. Like, they've won. So the Titans won quite a few games in a row, lost to Kansas City, then they beat Denver and Green Bay, lose to Cincinnati, and then got smoked by the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Right now they have a pretty freaking ridiculously easy schedule coming out though. Jacksonville Chargers, Houston, they do have Dallas, and then Jacksonville again. So I mean, maybe it
wouldn't even matter if they had the hardest schedule down the stretch. It's not going to matter. They won the division. They got it.
Well, I'm talking about for the seeds, right? For seeds.
Oh, okay.
For the division, you're absolutely right. They win in the division. It's not happening. The Colts aren't catching them. No one's catching them in there. But right. Maybe they squeeze into a 3 seed or something, but I'm good with them on the 4 as well.
All right, cool. So, all right, well then, who we got at the 5 seed? These wild cards. So we just talked about the division winners. So let's talk about these wild cards. 5, 6, 7.
All right, let's hear yours first. While I just get us organized here.
All right. So I'm actually just going to go through all 3 of them.
All right.
Yeah, so I think the 5 seed is going to be the Dolphins. I think the 6 seed is going to be the Ravens. And I think the 7 seed, which actually is pretty interesting, I think I think this is just one of them weird years. I think I can kind of see New England grabbing that 7 seed.
You think New England? Interesting. So we're taking 3 from the East. We're taking 3 from the NFC East, but leaving the Jets out.
Yeah. So here's my thing with the Jets. The Jets don't have a quarterback, and I think right now it's really starting to bite them in the butt. And I think the Patriots have more of an identity because if you remember Breece Hall, he had a great year for the Jets starting. You know what I mean? And they were flowing there. So now their running back is not there. They're not set at quarterback. And I think New England is actually, well, at least more set in those in that regard. So I was actually just going to bring up New England's remaining schedule. And this is why I think that they might just sneak in. And I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they got the Cardinals this week. Then they got the Raiders. Then they have the Bengals. We saw that. We knew that was going to be a tough game. And then they have to finish the year, they have Bengals, Dolphins, and then Bills. Bills may not be playing for anything. And depending on if the Dolphins can't move up, unless they're going to slide, the Dolphins may not be playing for anything. So I think they could win 2 of those 3 games, but like even if they won 1 of those 3 games, I still think down the stretch they win 3 out of the 5 games down the stretch.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, look, it's fair. I'm a little less. I mean, after seeing how pathetic they looked against Buffalo, like what I'm learning more and more on one is this New England team, this defense isn't great. Play calling's not great. They're struggling with their coordinators at the moment. They gave up I thought they looked better when they played Minnesota, but what I'm more realizing is even though Minnesota is 10-2, they are they're just winning football games. And I know that matters at this stretch, like being 10-2 and just winning football games, but their defense is not good. Right. So that's giving me less confidence in New England as a contender and beating the Jets.
So let me also say this. The Bills and the Dolphins both beat them earlier in the year. So you got to think about both of them teams have to beat them twice in the same year.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. But, looking at New England's schedule, those 3 games that you talked about, they're going to Cincinnati, which is on the road's tough, going to Miami. No, excuse me. They're at home on those. I'm reading this wrong. So they're at home and Cincinnati at home with Miami. So I think that is a benefit for them being at home, but then they do have to go on the road and play Buffalo. Right. To be fair, I think the Cardinals are bums and so are the Raiders at the moment, but the Raiders looked good until last night. Like the last couple of games.
Come on, Timmy. Baker Mayfield was there for one day. Okay, he's been there one day. Jeff Saturday was his only win was against them. He did it one time. We ain't won since. Come on, it's the Raiders. We know who they are.
I know, but they were putting up some points though before. I mean, they weren't against any great teams. The only team that's really like contender there was Seattle, but all right. Well, we got your 3. You got Miami, Baltimore, New England. I'm struggling here too, though. I mean, I have to put Baltimore in it. I don't know if they are going to be a 5 or a 6 seed. They're all out. They're all out. Yeah. All right. So just looking at this quickly, I just think this team looks like a mess too. I feel like Baltimore just looks like, all right. How crazy do you think this will be? So this is where we're going to end up with this after looking at some of these schedules. I do like Miami at the 5.
Okay.
I think they have, that offense is just absolutely, they can explode at any single time. Looking at Baltimore's schedule, I think they're going to end up in the 6. Where I'm going to switch it up is I'm going to take the Jets.
So you're not taking, I thought you was going to definitely take, you're not taking the Chargers either.
No. I'm out on the Chargers too.
I told you a long time ago. I said, I remember when they lost to Kansas City the first time. And I was like, they were supposed to win that game. And I'm like, oh, this is the same Chargers that we've always looked at. They're going to miss the playoffs. They're this good and they're still going to miss the playoffs. I'm shocked that you didn't pick them.
It is funny too. I was looking back to our original picks. We both had the Chargers in the wild cards. No, I just think the Chargers, like, I don't know. They're just really inconsistent. I feel like Justin Herbert has to do it all. They should be better. They should be winning more games.
But what happened here? You got your Jets green on today. I see what happened here.
No, how about it? Yeah, let's call it Jets green instead of Eagles.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be fair though, looking at the Chargers schedule on the way out, it is not that difficult. I mean, they play Miami, they play Tennessee. Both of those could be tough games, but if they steal one of those, then they got your Colts, the Rams, and Denver. Like they could potentially pull out,
and they still going to figure out how to mess it up. And I'm telling you,
you're right.
Figure out how to mess that up. That's like, oh yeah, that's what you want. They'll figure out how to mess that up.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on to let me just date this so we have it. 12. Let's move on to the NFC.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Do we have any change in terms of like, all right, so I'm gonna just say my first 2 picks, Eagles, Vikings. Is there any disparity there?
From your old ones?
No. Are you going to say anything different than that? I know it's different for you from the last because you picked the Cowboys. I understand that it's different. My question is, at this point, are you saying the Eagles are not going to be the 1 seed, and the Vikings are not going to be the 2 seed. And you can write that down for me because that's what I'm saying is going to happen.
I got you. I got you. I hear what you're saying. Give me a second. You got the Eagles. I'm still not. I still think. I think
It's festering on the inside. It's just.
I think the Cowboys might win this division.
Okay, write that down then. So who's your number one? So is the Vikings your number 1 seed or is the Cowboys your number 1 seed?
Give me a second. So you got, I'm looking here. So the Cowboys coming out of this, they got Houston, Jacksonville. They play Philadelphia and Dallas. Obviously, they have to steal that game. Tennessee, Washington. We go 5-0. Moving out. We go 5-0.
All right, so you're just gonna sleep on Washington like that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm saying that we
beat them. Hold on. So week 17, y'all have Washington.
Yeah.
And they're gonna need that game, and you're just gonna count them out.
Who, Washington?
Yes.
I'm counting the Cowboys to win that game to win the division.
Okay, I see. I think I see the writing on the wall already. Y'all gonna sleep on Washington.
All right, look, I think I'm doing it. So take the Vikings obviously are winning the North, right? I'm going to give them the 1 seed. Because I mean, looking at their schedule, to be fair, they might actually lose to Detroit this week. So
so you think it's more likely that the Vikings will lose to Detroit than y'all will lose to Washington?
Yes. We're also talking about. All right. Let's in pure fanhood, we're going Cowboys number 1 seed, Vikings number 2 seed.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you're going the next 2 games. I see that Texans, Jaguars. You got them too.
Sure. I mean, look, our last 3 get difficult.
You got Eagles, Titans, and Commanders. I
mean, obviously, we got to steal the Eagles game. We're trying to win.
You don't lose any of these games, so you don't lose one of those 3 games.
No. Pure fan.
Okay. I'm with you. All right, let's keep going. I'm with you.
So after we put up 40, 28, and then 54 against your Colts, we're gonna keep rolling. Keep rolling. You
had to rub salt in the wound, didn't you? I tried not to rub salt in the wound.
The Cowboys have scored the most points since the week Dak returned.
Okay. All right, cool. So you got Vikings in 1 seed, Dallas number 2.
We're flipping that. Dallas is taking the conference.
Dallas is taking the whole. So Dallas is the number 1 seed.
Cowboys going number 1, Vikings number 2.
Okay. I'm with you. All right, cool. So let's go to the 3 seed. So I did the first 2. So who's your 3 seed?
What divisions here do we still have? So we have this is where it's interesting to me because the 3 seed,
it was locked up, but Jimmy Garoppolo just got hurt.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So we're looking at I just don't know that Tampa Bay is good enough. Tampa Bay is going to win that division. But I guess the question is, does Seattle jump over San Francisco for their division? So does Seattle happen to take the West? Oh, give me a minute. This is brutal here. So we're looking at Tampa Bay. There's no chance Tampa Bay gets out of this. I guess it's a good question, though, because they play San Francisco this week. I think they're actually the favorite. Nope. This is a tough one, man. You're asking me the hard questions here. I think this is where we end up with. We don't know about. I think this is where we end up. I think we end up San Francisco still with the 4 seed, or excuse me, with the 3 seed, and then Tampa Bay takes the 4 seed.
Okay.
What do you got there?
So the only thing that I am the only thing that I'm basically looking at right now, I'm looking at the Seahawks remaining schedule. They got the Panthers, they
That's
got
what I
the
just
yeah, they got
yeah.
the 49ers, they got the Chiefs, they got the Jets. Okay. And they got the Rams. All right, cool. I'm going to agree with you that it's going to be San Fran and then Tampa Bay. And the only reason I'm saying that is because Tampa Bay probably will lose 2 more games.
Yeah.
If they were only going to lose 1 game, then I would say okay. So that means the fact that the Rams are, I mean the Rams, the Niners are already 2 games ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's that's a pretty big point. So all right, cool. So I'm gonna go San Fran and I'm gonna go Tampa
So
Bay.
San Fran 3. Yeah, and just look. I was like, I think we did the same thing. We just looked at Seattle's schedule, and I was like, they might lose 3 or 4 of those games.
Yeah, they got a rough schedule. All right, cool. And then I'll just hurry this up and I'll pick the wild cards. So that's the division winners. The 5 seed, I got the Cowboys coming in strong, just not the number 1 overall seed. But coming in strong. Then 6, I have Seattle. And then give me one. I think I know who I want to pick for 7, but I just wanted to check one thing. Okay. And then I'm gonna go Commander 7.
Washington, yeah.
I'm picking the Giants to slide all the way out the playoffs.
I was just looking at that too, but go ahead.
So yeah, so I think the Commanders at the like finishing up the season, they play the Giants again, and I actually think they're going to beat the Giants. I think they have to beat the Giants. You know what I mean? Like I'm wrong if they don't win this week. I think they have to win this week, and they're at home. So that's where I'm at with that. Then they got the 49ers, which once again they don't have a quarterback. They got their 3rd string quarterback, which is never great. Then they got the Browns, which they could lose. And then that game that I'm saying, that final game against Dallas, where I'm like, I don't know about that, man. That's an interesting game. So I think that's where I'm at with it.
If the Cowboys have that game against Washington to win the conference, the division in the conference, or win the division and be number 1 seed, I think they beat Commanders. But I do agree with you. I think the Commanders actually have they have a decently tough schedule, right? You have the Giants, which I think they can win. It would be interesting to see what they do with the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers defense is so good. So that's going to be a tough game. And then Cleveland and Dallas as well. Where they're really going to need a lot of help from the Giants losing because of that tie. Does that make sense?
Well, I think they have to beat the Giants this week. If they lose to the Giants this week, then I am wrong about this whole pick. So, granted that I'm picking them to beat the Giants, they would have the same record. And then if you look at who the Giants have to play, understanding that now it looks like all these teams have the book on how to defend Daniel Jones, I see Washington winning more of those games.
All right. Fair enough. So I'm looking at my 5 seed is going to be the Eagles, falling all the way from the 1 seed. I see you disapprove.
Yeah, that's funny. You laughed when you said that too.
I think it'll be an interesting one, right? I'm torn between those 3 teams. I think I'm with you on. I mean, looking at this now, where did I just have Seattle's schedule? I think Seattle has a tough schedule too.
Oh, and the Commanders have a bye this week too, so they'll be coming off of a bye to play the Giants too.
Yeah. I did. Yes, I did see that. I think I do agree with you on the 6 and 7. So Seattle and then Washington.
Brought you on over, huh?
No, I've said this. Look, the Giants the Giants to me look like they've been the favorite to all year, right? To make the playoffs. They've been having a ridiculous year. They're winning football games, but recently it's been the Saquon show, and you shut him down. Like Daniel Jones isn't going to pick you apart at all,
No,
right?
he's not.
They really scored. They scored. I mean, without looking at this, they scored 13 against Seattle. They scored 24 against Houston, which is like okay. 18. They scored 18 against Detroit, and then 20 against the Cowboys. And I know one of those was a late touchdown, and then 20 against the Commanders. Like they're not scoring any points. And if you're not scoring more than 20 points a game, you're not winning in this league. And with the rest of, I agree with you, with the rest of their schedule, like they play the Eagles twice still. They play Washington, and then Minnesota just knows how to win football games. They may give up points. They may give up a lot of points to high-powered offenses.
Minnesota is not going to lose to them.
I know they're scoring points.
And if you're right, and I'm saying we suck, but if they're going to score 18 points, there's a chance that they could lose to the Colts too.
I agree. I agree with you. If they can't score more than 18 points, 20 points, the Colts could lose all 5 games going out. So, all right. So, and that would give, the Commanders look like they have a little bit easier of a schedule. I don't know. This would be wild though. I don't think it's going to happen, but to sneak in there, what do you think about Detroit's chances to sneak into the playoffs?
Detroit? No, they're going to.
Did you see their schedule though? Coming out of this,
let me say. So who they playing? Who they playing?
This week they got Minnesota. They're the favorites against Minnesota, which is crazy. They're
in the same division. They're in the same division.
Sure, but look, you're looking at, say you pull off this, you're not winning the division, but you could squeeze into a 7 seed. The Jets going to be a tough game, most likely lost. Carolina, Chicago, and Green Bay. If they beat Minnesota this weekend, they might go 4-1 to close the season.
You said, hold on. Who they play against? Who did see? I just one thing happens. You're like, now you're saying they go 4-1. And I'm like, all right. So go ahead.
Minnesota this week.
Okay.
The Jets. Right. Let me make sure I'm on the run. Minnesota this week. So say they beat Minnesota. They lose to the Jets the following week. Carolina, Chicago, and Green Bay.
I think all right. So yeah, they could lose. I personally think when they played earlier in the year, who won, Minnesota or Detroit?
So it was 28-24 Minnesota. Detroit's play. I mean, Detroit went 1 2 3 4 5 6. So they went 1-6 to start the season, and since they're 4-1. I'm not saying that they're a good team. What I'm saying is with their schedule and the way they've been playing.
Yeah, except they're 2.5 games behind
Washington. You're right.
So basically, Washington would have to lose 3 games. The Giants would have to lose 3 games. Yeah, that would basically be what it is. You know what I mean? Like all these teams have to lose 3 games. I'm not seeing that. Nope. I'm counting.
You'd have to end up what 9-8. It'd be interesting.
I mean, I thought they were an interesting team coming into the year, but no, I don't think they're gonna be in the playoffs. No.
Here's the thing though. Looks like they have tiebreakers over both Washington and New York Giants. They have wins over both of them.
Yeah, except they're 2 games they're 2.5 games behind the both. Like it's 5 games, but like what I'm saying is that would be pretty miraculous that both of them teams lost 3 games and Detroit did not lose any. Detroit lost 0 and over these next 5 weeks, and they lost 3, both of them. That I would be like, that's outrageous. No. No.
Well, we'll see. We'll be rooting for our underdog Detroit to figure it out. They could have just not lost 6 straight games or something. They would have been in the hunt. But, all right. Well, that's Cowboys all the way, baby. They're gonna stomp Houston this
You
week.
went there with that, yo. I hope you wrote that down too.
Hey, come on. This is the time frame. We're all Cowboys fans.
You
I gotta
said
send
straight
you.
to the top. You said
gotta
all
send-
the way to the top.
I sent you this meme of the Cowboys life cycle, Cowboy fanhood life cycle, where we're at right now. So it starts with season starts, win some games, fans get their hopes up. We them boys, this is our year. That's where we're at. Choking the playoffs.
I mean,
Pretty
life
much.
cycles are life cycles for a reason, you know.
Here we go. This is exactly what it is.
But listen, the Cowboys they're one of the top 4 teams in the NFC, so you can keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So Timmy, we were going to talk about something this week, but let's hold off on that till next week. I think that's a great segment for right in there. I'm not even going to tell y'all what it is. I'm just going to let y'all know. Next week we got a banger in there. It's going to be interesting. Y'all going to love it.
Oh man, another good one here. We got a weekend full of football.
This was a good one. We got through it, and now we got it written down for a third time for our last and final playoff predictions.
The best part is how much it's changed.
Yeah, Jacksonville to win the division.
Jackson. One day we'll figure this out. But all right, man.
Well, until next time, I'm your boy Reek.
Tim. Good
Just
talking.
let y'all know, cuz you don't know football. Talk to y'all next week.